everybody. So glad that you're here. Aurora, you're going to start the recording. Hi, I'm Joan Enderhees. I teach here in the School of Visual Communication Design here at Kent State University. So glad that you're here to be part of this Talking Shop event, our second for this semester. And I'm really pleased to be able to finally do something that I think Cecilia and I sort of talked about off and on over so many years, to somehow get a connection between AAF-Akron and Kent State in some capacity. And this is what's emerged. So we have 4 badass women in design and advertising who are here to come and talk about their career, their work in the design and advertising fields in the area. And it happens to be Women's History Month, right? Yesterday was International Women's Day. We did not plan to have our event to align it ever so well, but you know how design is. Sometimes the best stuff is the serendipitous things. So here we are. I'm going to pass this on to Brianne, who's going to serve as a moderator for the panel conversation today. Welcome to everybody. Hi to the little red camera who are joining us via Teams, wherever you are. So Brianne is going to be moderating the presentation, as well as figuring out a way to invite people who are joining us remotely to be part of this conversation. We've invited students from University of Akron and members of AAF-Akron to be part of this, and I personally look forward to this happening potentially again. This thing I'm holding in my hand, I do need to, we like collecting data, folks. So we'd like to know that you are here. So this will come around the room. If you'd please simply sign in and then leave it with, with Daniel. And yeah, with Daniel. He just got recruited. So right. Like that, because I can't stay for the whole thing. So thanks once again for being here. And thank you, panelists, for donating, being so generous with your time. Much appreciated.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brianna. I am a Kent grad. When this building looked nothing like this. I graduated in '08. My Facebook told me 10 years ago tonight I was at Rays and told myself on Facebook I was too old to be at Rays, and the joke is on me. I will be at Rays tonight, 10 years later. I'm the current president of AAF-Akron. As a Kent grad, as Joan said, as Kent grad, it is one of my personal goals to make sure that Kent State becomes much more involved in AAF-Akron, because even though it says Akron in the name, we basically cover everywhere from Youngstown to Canton, Medina. We have a very wide scope. So Kent is definitely in that footprint, and we want to make sure that you guys are aware of the opportunities that AAF provides as far as networking and helping you find jobs and all that kind of stuff. So it's super important to us, especially to me, as I said, as an alum, that you guys are just as involved as Akron and stuff, you know, winning awards and things like that, because I don't want it to be all Akron kids. I want to see some Kent names on those trophies like everybody else. But I have with me 4 lovely ladies, 2 are Kent grads, 2 are Akron grads. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to kind of just get into some questions about, you know, how they got to where they are today. And then at the end, we'll open it up to questions. So if you are on Zoom or Teams, whatever tool of choice we are currently using, please feel free to drop your question in the chat, and we will come to it at the end. But I'll start, please, ma'am.
Okay.
Take it away.
So I'm Lakeisha Parkman. I work for Environmental Design Group. I'm the graphic designer there and kind of the jack of all trades. I do photography, print ads, anything honestly that you could think of in the company that has to do with graphic design. That is what I do.
My name is Kaylee Madden. I'm a content coordinator for the Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. I'm a University of Akron grad. I graduated in May of 21. My bachelor's of fine art and graphic design.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren Green. I am a Kent grad of my BA program, and I currently still attend here for my master's program as well. Hopefully, we'll be graduating here in May. And I am currently working as the lead designer of IdeaStream Public Media. So I work a lot with designers and reporters on, you know, developing content for social media and broadcasting.
Hi, everyone. I am Megan Cash. I am the senior content specialist at the J.M. Smucker Company, which is just a really fancy way in the corporate world of saying I'm a graphic designer on our corporate communications team. I graduated out of Kent State with my BFA in the VCD program in 2013.
Okay. So first things first, when did you decide what you wanted to be when you grew up? Maybe you still aren't grown up, I don't know. When did you decide this is what I'm going to go to school for and this is going to be my future career path?
I think that I started pretty young. I did career technical programs at my high school where I started graphic design. So basically my junior year of high school, this was the path I was set on.
I feel like I have a pretty similar route. In high school, I was really interested in like media design and pretty much just learning everything about how to use Photoshop. And I was really unaware of the field of graphic design and honestly what it offered. So I Googled what jobs can you use Photoshop in, and it was graphic design. So, and then that's when I found, Kent State and their program, and kind of the rest is history from there.
I was always heavily involved in the arts growing up, even as young as kindergarten and elementary school. My mom always had us in art programs. In high school, I did a vocational program for photography and thought that's what I wanted to go into. And then I did some senior pictures and shot one wedding and realized very quickly that's not what I wanted to do with my life. Similar, had no idea what graphic design was, but I had a friend who was in Akron's program and she said, you should check this out. And then I had friends who had gone through the Kent program and decided to check it out and ended up here and found my path.
I feel like I was the exact opposite. I had no idea what I wanted to go to school for. I used to joke and say that it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to go into debt for. So I knew I wanted to go to school. I knew I liked art, but I had no idea like what to do or what to look for. I had a friend who knew somebody else that graduated with a graphic design degree, and she said, hey, that's art. I think you can make money at it. Like, you should look at that. So I went to school for that. It worked out.
Zero promises were made.
Yeah.
How close to graduation, like when did you have that moment where you were like, I need to get serious. I'm leaving school. Obviously you all went to like four-year universities. At what point in your college career were you like, oh shit, I need to get serious about leaving college and figuring out what I'm going to do post-college?
First semester for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get in, get out. Like, why am I here?
Yeah, I started down at Kent Stark for 3 semesters and then I took 2 years off. So by the time I came back, I was like the old student. I was 22 and felt way older than 22. And so I knew pretty quick, like, you're going to get through these 4 years, you're going to get out, you're going to get a job. And I actually ended up getting a job offer out of the senior gallery show. So I didn't have time to really get my shit together. It was, you got to go. Yeah, it was there.
I feel like that's also why I went to grad school, because I didn't know how to answer that in my undergrad. So I was like, might as well continue another 2 years and learn more. And now I guess I'm faced with that question,
Right,
since
I'm
I'll be done in May. But
You also want to listen to what they all did.
yeah, so I'll take the advice.
We're also in the same boat, technically.
Yeah.
I think Dave's gonna love this. I think that I have a very unique perspective because I wasn't going to do this. I didn't think I was going to be in design after I graduated. I planned to go back to school in August. I was filling out the paperwork and all that to get a completely different degree. And then an internship opportunity came to me, and the rest is history from there. Now I'm doing it, and I found my love for it, and I couldn't be happier. I'm still doing it.
Well, that's a great, I actually told Kelly to segue perfectly into how did you end up, so I don't know how many of you are kind of still in your first job out of school, but like how did you end up there? Like, were there specific teachers, specific, like senior shows or internships, networking? How did you end up in your first job out of college?
Mine came
Or
from my,
technically in grad school.
Yeah, you know my answer. I got hired out of the senior show and took the first opportunity that came because at that point I was 25 and had to get things rolling.
I feel like mine was based on just all the networking connections that I've made in my undergrad, Valora actually, and then a couple other professors recommended me to take what was formerly WKSU before we merged with my current company at IdeaStream. Said, hey, Lauren, this is an opportunity I think you'd be interested in. And, I took it. So it was all based off of teacher recommendation and kind of really getting to know your professors and showing, the quality of work that you can in class and how that could then lead to opportunities later that I took advantage of.
Mine was pretty simple. I mean, networking is good, but nobody's better networked than my mom, who told me about the job and had some friends who also did internships there. So she was the best networking connection I could have.
For me, it was the senior show. I had somebody that saw my resume and was like, hey, you should apply here. And based off of like the qualifications, I was like, are you sure? But they hired me, so it worked.
Got it. So everybody, if you want to meet Callie's mom afterwards, we'll set up some meetings. Was there anything you did like kind of outside the classroom that you felt kind of got you ready for, the working world? Like, obviously, going to class is like a big part of what VCD is anything like when I was here, most of what you're doing. But was there anything you like got to participate in or, take advantage of that was outside of the classroom that you felt kind of helped you get ready?
I worked, and that left no time for between VCD and working. That was my
That's a
life.
full schedule.
So yeah, I mean, there's things I learned through customer service that have helped, as I've gotten into my career, but I didn't have time for extra things, extra networking and groups and stuff like that.
I would say it was probably design conferences for me, more so in grad school than undergrad, but I went to 2 over the last year and a half or so, and as well as some of my friends sitting in the front row here. And it really did like open up opportunities and like your mind to, what people are talking about in a real world sense, and not having it so, like fictitious projects like in school, and really like getting to know people. I feel like that was a really good segue that one exposed me to the network that I have and much more.
I was a Delta Zeta, so I think that allowed me to take on leadership roles that I didn't think I initially was going to take, and to meet people outside of it. My best friends are both graphic designers and Delta Zeta, so I kept my circle exactly how I wanted it to.
I feel like a lot of my work was in school mostly. I had 2 jobs outside where I had a lot of like customer service. But I was the editor-in-chief of our school paper, so that's being in charge of people and kind of getting used to that role. So later when it came to interviewing and whatnot, I was able to comfortably say like how I work with people. Also, a lot of our graphic design classes, not going to point out any names or anything, but some professors that you have can be very difficult. And in school, it was like hellacious for me. And then outside of school, it's like you deal with those same people. So working with people is not as bad because I'm like, you are not giving me a grade. I survived this already. So
True. And you're getting
Makes
paid.
things a
And you're
little
getting paid.
easier.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even if you have to change something like 5 times, I'm like, still getting a check for this, so it's fine.
I did cry in this building a lot.
Yeah.
There are a lot of my tears
Yeah.
in this building.
Same.
Do any of you, speaking of professors and stuff, are there any like professors, teachers, could be middle school teachers, I don't care, but somebody who kind of like you consider a mentor or someone that you feel kind of like helped you in your stepping stones, whether it's design or not design, just being a professional human being in the outside world that you'd like to, shout out? I assume they're on the Zoom.
For me, definitely it would be Dave. I think in my sophomore year, I had a moment of what am I doing? Like, this is not the right major. And he was like, just stick it through and like, hang on. And even still like working for the paper, like I was going to write an article like here or there. And I was like, these people want me to be the special editions editor. And now they want me to do editor in chief. And the whole time I'm like, they're crazy. I'm not doing it. And he was like, absolutely, you should go for it. And like, literally, I could point to certain moments in my college career that like led me to where I am now. And he was pivotal in it.
This side is definitely a Dave fan club. Dave, I've had him since my intro to design class, my very first class at Akron, first thing in the morning. And as simple as it is, he was the first and only professor to remember how to say my name year after year. And he's definitely seen me cry many of times. I told him many of times this wasn't what I was going to do. And I think he said it to me last week that it's funny that it's kind of in my face that he was right and I was actually wrong, that I am successful in this and I am doing good work. So it's definitely Dave.
Straight AAF plug. Dave is currently our programs chair and on our board. So I did not have Dave in school, but I get to enjoy Dave Flynn on a personal and professional level all the time through AAF. So feel like I don't think he's seen me cry though. I don't think yet. I've only been president for 8 months, so there's still time.
I feel like for me, it was more of a humbling experience. I had it was like my around sophomore year in my undergrad. I had a professor who I believe was a grad student, maybe at the time, Susan Hazel Rich. I don't know if anyone is familiar with her or not, but she really like expressed the importance of like, you're not always right. You have, I feel like students are sometimes afraid to hear the words like start over or, redo this, redo that. And she really like showed that to us in like a really positive environment without being like demeaning or like mean or like, so it really like prepared me in that sense of like a humbling, like, oh, I can't be wrong. I can start over and still like have confidence in my work and not like a shot to like my personal, self or something. So like that to me and that experience like she gave me was like that turning point of it's okay to reiterate and start the process over and still be successful, I guess, at the end.
I feel like because I'm sitting in this building, I should shout out a Kent professor, but I'm going to take it back to high school and not a diss at my Kent professors. Many of them were wonderful and had a huge impact in my life and career. But when I was in the photography program and my high school photography teacher, Mrs. B, she was just like the best hype woman. And for a creative, you're constantly second guessing yourself. You're constantly looking at your work and wondering if what you're doing is even worth it or if it's good. You're, always critiquing yourself. And she just really instilled in us, do what you think is right. It's going to work for somebody. You're going to like it eventually. Somebody's going to like it, just keep pushing at it. And so even though I didn't go into photography, so much of what I learned from her is still what I'm doing day to day.
It's like Laura watched my cat once. So never know. What are you most proud of in your career so far? What it's like, you have like one moment that stuck out to you. It's like maybe with that moment where you're like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I am good at this, and this is going to be my profession. Not just your first job out of school, but a thing you're going to stick with.
My first Addy Award was like a major, I did something and it got noticed and
get a trophy?
Yeah. I didn't get to keep it. The company kept it, but but I got to go and walk across the stage. Actually, I don't even think we went. I think they mailed it to us. I'm sorry.
What was the Addy show? I'm sorry, American Advertising Awards show. I think it was when Canton still had a chapter though. So it wasn't Akron. It wasn't you guys. I think it was like Canton still had a chapter. But that was a pretty big moment. I mean, that was my first year out of college and it was like, all right, clearly I'm doing something okay. And I guess I'm in the right situation for now. Recognition is always nice. It's always nice to have an outside third party, not a professor, not a parent or anybody tell you like, you are good at this.
Yeah.
Here's a trophy that you can't keep.
Yeah.
I feel like for me it was when like other students or like colleagues of mine like started asking me for advice and like started asking me for direction on certain projects or like, oh, Lauren, I don't know what to do for this. And, even though I was just friends with them or have no, vested interest in their projects or their work, like, you think I know what I'm doing? It was like a very nice, like, realization that like, they were coming to me for that advice. And it was really kind of like that turning point for me and why I, wanted to continue grad school and continue teaching to like, then spread that to more people.
I would say this last summer was my first enshrinement. I've lived in Canton my whole life, but my family was like the type to like get out of town during that week. And I was able to photograph Journey, which was a childhood career dream of mine. So to be a concert photographer, and now I've been able to photograph like football champions and NFL players and rock stars. And now I feel like a rock star. So very cool.
I'd say for me, it was probably around month 3 of my job where somebody asked me a question and it was just like, got it right in one. And I was like, oh, I do know what I'm doing. Like, I can do this. And then the graphic designer that's been there for like 6 years, she asked my advice on something. And I was like, okay, I do know what I'm doing. Like, I like this. I might, I might stick with this now.
So if you had to go back and do it all over again, would you change anything, or would you do the same? Like, do graduation different? Would you major different? Would you, maybe your portfolio looks different for your senior show? Like, what is that? Is there anything you go back and do differently, or are you happy with the way it came out?
I wouldn't change a thing.
I think the only thing I might change is getting to know some of my classmates better. Because like even since I've had my job, like I had one person that I was really close to, she reached out to me and knew of a job offer, and it was awesome. I'm happy where I am, but just knowing that there's opportunities like that, and then even for me having a position where it's like I know where certain things are opening up, wishing I knew other people that I could reach out to more. I feel like that's the only thing I would change. Everything else I feel like went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I know I like cried a lot in my degree track, but I definitely think that like shaped me into who I am. So realistically, are there many things I would change? Probably wouldn't cry so much, but I think that made me the strong person I am, and I definitely wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty similar for myself too. Maybe yes, like putting myself out there a little bit more, like, especially that like freshman and sophomore year when it was so scary to talk to anyone and no one would really do anything. They would kind of like stay in their lane and, keep working. But, if I did have to do something different, I feel like I would have wished I would have talked to that person or, reached out more, because that really is like your first contact or your first group of networking people is the people you go to school with. And I feel like later in life that could come in handy if you see them at a job or, something like that you could use later on.
Or you know who to avoid later on.
That's true. Or yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It took me a minute to get to where I am and to be happy with where I am in my career. So even though I had a lot of bumps and a lot of bouncing to get there, I still wouldn't change it because I've been in my position for 5 years now and I love it. And I wouldn't change anything about it. So I don't think I would change anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that the number one thing you don't change is like networking and meeting more people.
Yeah.
Which is most of what design and advertising is. It's just
Correct.
meeting people. So what advice did you give? What's your number one piece of advice to people sitting in the room or getting ready to graduate? Like what would you tell them other than obviously join AAF?
I think what we were just saying, like
Yeah.
reach out to as many people as you can, like whether that be students, professors, like whatever, like, and just work the hardest you can in the classes, because that's like your interview or like your portfolio is when your teachers look at your work, they could tell like who does the work and who doesn't. And like that's how I got all my internships. That's how I got my job now. Like is just the people you know. So I can't stress it enough, like to build those connections with people around you because they are important.
One of the biggest things for me when I was applying and interviewing for my second position, I brought them a bunch of the work that I had done at the company that I was at the time. And they asked me to come back for a second interview, but they wanted to see my student work. And it's because my student work had no boundaries. It was way more creative because I wasn't limited by the company, by the client, by a budget. And so once I brought that in and showed them like, hey, this is the potential of what I can do when I don't have constraints, that's what got me the job. It wasn't the work that I had been doing for a year and a half at an agency. It was the stuff that I had done in school.
Nothing worse than clients and budgets.
No,
They'll ruin every project so fast.
I'd say probably just like ask questions. I know that's probably an obvious one, but like everybody understands when you're your first year of your career, like there's stuff you're not going to know. And so if you have to have people that you are comfortable with asking questions to, and like you're not going to know until you ask.
I would say try different classes. Like if there's something that is just even mildly interesting to you, like go for it. I did a pottery class, which led me into the emerging technology class. I ended up getting a minor in it, which gave me an amazing budget from the school where I got to make like really cool things. And from those cool things that I made, that made it into my portfolio. You got people that are interviewing you and like, oh wow, why'd you use this color? And you can go into like your thought process and details and all sorts of other stuff. So just try new things.
I have to ask, was pottery considered an emerging technology? Is that how you?
Not mine. That was definitely,
emerging
I've
technology.
tried that class.
Like oldest possible form of art into
My hand,
emerging
not
technology.
so much. The computer, awesome.
So I want to talk a little more about not necessarily your personal stories anymore. It's kind of about ad industry in general. And in particular, since it is Women's History Month, you are all ladies, kind of what that means as far as, you know, as the people that are going to be making the ads moving forward. Do you wish there's anything different about the industry as far as, you know, its portrayal of women? You know, it's like reading an article today about how technically like there are more women in commercials, but the gender roles are actually like 60% of the time a female is portrayed in a very homemaker, gender normative sort of way. So it's like good and bad, where it's like, yes, more women in ads, but also like they are shown in a very stereotypical way.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, as like someone that could potentially, you know, be the person art directing the next couple years, you know, like what do you wish was different about the way that like women were portrayed, and like what do you wish would happen?
I feel like getting them involved more in the process of making, you know, if you have more of that diversity and more of, you know, equality on the team creating it, that will be mirrored in the things you're producing or making. So, you know, kind of having that equal playing field of, you know, the person in your ad or the thing that you're making reflect, you know, who's actually making it and who's actually on your team. I feel like it's a big thing that I've noticed as well.
I think we're going to see an unconscious shift in it, honestly. I think the generations that are coming up, and as our parents are getting out of the career force, and, you know, I'm 35, so I feel like I'm right on the cusp of like half the people I know are still like the stay-at-home mom homemaker thing, and then the other half are professional women. And I think as these next generations are coming up, you know, even the males are thinking more female-centric. They want more equality, and I think we're just going to see a natural shift in it. I don't think it's even going to be something that we're fighting to get more women in commercials or fighting to get, you know, more balanced roles. I think it's just going to work its way out, honestly. Maybe I'm optimistic.
So 10 years from now when I'm back at race.
Yes, yes, yes.
Things will just naturally.
Yes.
I like that. It's the best case scenario.
I think just like being willing to take the risk. I mean, you can't portray powerful women if you don't have powerful women behind the scenes, if you aren't willing to take the risk to portray women in these powerful settings. I think currently like there is a lot of backlash for advertisement and how we're advertising gender roles and relationships and women, and we have to be willing to put it out there, and there's going to be backlash. It's going to happen, but like you have to in that moment be willing to stand up for it and like don't back down. If that's what you believe, stand up for it.
I agree with that. I feel like just being conscious of certain things. Like when it comes for me making ads for different areas, I always look for diversity. That's something that I notice that is missing a lot of times. So I want to make sure that I add that in. So I feel like the more conscious you are, that'll just happen naturally for the people that are making those sorts of things, and then we'll see it more.
I know for us at James Becker Company, diversity and inclusion is a huge initiative for right now. And that's like one of the biggest parts of my job is when I'm setting up photo shoots, it's looking for diversity. And when you hear diversity, you automatically think race, but it's not always race. It's gender, it's age, it's religion. You know, there's all these different pieces and parts. And so being on the inside of a Fortune 500 company and seeing the changes that they're making, I think the more big companies that are making these changes, it's going to trickle down into these smaller companies, and you're going to be seeing it a lot more.
Do you feel like growing up, like not like mentors aside, not people you know personally, but like do you feel like you were able to see women doing the jobs that you wanted to do? Like did you have somebody that you looked at and said, oh, like, you know, one of those like you can see it, you can be it kind of things? Like do you feel like you saw women doing the roles that you wanted? So not even, obviously like not even just like a white woman, like, I feel like especially, it's a very, white oriented kind of field. And so like, do you feel like you saw the people that you wanted to be in the industry, or do you still think that there's like room to grow in that?
Not even a little bit. Like,
you have a much different opinion on this, and like that's great. It's
Yeah, I think in my graduating class there was one other student that was a person of color, and I didn't get to be in the class with her until we were seniors. So it was like, hey, haven't seen you. I feel like it might have been junior years where Clarence came along, and he was a Black man that was teaching about art. Didn't get to take his class, but it's nice when you see things like that,
Right,
because
you
you
see 'em in
don't
the halls.
realize that that's something that you're even missing until you have it sometimes. So, yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, it's definitely said again, as well as getting Kent State involved. It's another initiative that we are actively working on for AAF-Akron, because it's definitely, I was like, Garrick isn't here, but Garrick is my vice president, and he is a Black man, and he owns his own company and stuff like that. But yeah, we have this conversation all the time about how to get, because again, diversity isn't just women. It's not just, there's a much broader scope of what that looks like, and hopefully it will become effortless someday. However, we are not there yet.
I don't feel like I was seeking out or even paying attention to if I saw women, because I also didn't know what I wanted to do until I was through college. For a long time, I had thought I was going to be a florist until I realized they make like 20 grand a year, and that wasn't going to happen. And of course, I saw myself as a florist. It's an old white woman, which is basically what I am. So yeah, I absolutely saw myself in that position. But I will say, the agencies that I've worked in, and I'm not in the creative department at Smucker, but we have a creative department, and it's pretty balanced now. When I was in agency in Akron, I think we actually had more female than male designers. Male always tended to go towards web back in whatever year that was, 2015. All the guys were programmers and web designers, and then all the girls were doing logos and branding. I don't know why that was a thing. Yeah. But at Smucker, it's pretty balanced.
No, at least at my company, WKSU and IdeaStream, I'm really the only designer, only person in the creative department. And when I was originally hired in my internship year, sophomore year, I was the first designer they've ever hired in the 50 years that they existed. So I almost had to build those expectations myself to other people, and to really show the value of design and the strategy that came with that. It was tough. I'm not gonna lie, because having someone not really value what you do in terms of the field, whether it be age, my sex, whatever, it was a hard thing to overcome, and that I'm still building towards, and hopefully still progresses, in wherever the company lands after I leave. I don't know.
I think because I come from a startup, it being a more high-profile startup, I'm lucky enough that they do hire people who are Gen Z, and so the one other graphic designer I work with, she's 25 years old. We grew up probably 15 minutes from each other, and realized how similar our lives were growing up. Again, being from a startup, we have so much room to grow in our diversity. So it's something we're all still learning and trying to get at, and something that we both are incredibly passionate about, is that we want more diversity in the company. We want more diversity in our creative. We want to build these programs out so that we can be somebody to look at that has the diversity that you can look at and you see yourselves within it. So.
Yeah, why are there so many football players, guys?
We have a lot of women that work in our company. We're 43% women in our company, which I think is very rare and incredible for a sports and entertainment company. Mm-hmm. You don't see that, and I think it's very uplifting to work with younger women and women with experience who can guide us through that, because I think it can be intimidating. I think when I went to school, I had a majority of white man professors. But so even
Dave's sitting right there.
he knows.
No,
But
Dave is like hyper aware. Like, we were planning this panel. He's like, I shouldn't even put questions on. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
He's like, I'm a middle-aged white man. Okay.
I mean, I think like it's important. Like I think as a white person, like I have opportunity out there, so I have to be aware of that. But being a woman, like not having like, I think I had one graphic design specific professor who was a woman, and I mean, I'm surrounded by women now, so I'm very lucky to have learned like from a majority of male, because I think that makes me tough. And now I think I have the confidence of mediocre white men. So I think,
That's a lot of confidence.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, there you go. So I think, and then coming to and being able to have strong women to build me up has been helpful in my first year.
Yeah, sports is definitely a tough.
Yeah.
I've been to several sports-centric conferences, and there are not many ladies.
No.
All right, so to end things here in this portion, I want to know, what is your favorite current trend in the industry, and where do you see things going in the next couple years?
I feel like as a type designer, I just want to say just variable fonts which is also my thesis paper, so might be a little biased there. But just the push of typography becoming more apparent in the industry is what I'm excited about
I love
at the
where I
moment.
saw that going, and I'm very pleased with that answer.
There we go.
Oh man, this one's hard. I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like because I'm in an in-house corporate setting, like there's not a lot of room for trends. We're kind of locked in. We just rebranded in 2020, so that was our new trend. So we're kind of locked in for a little bit.
Much to the
The
dismay of
simplified
everyone
fruit.
trying to
Yeah,
find
we're stuck for a while. It's a great brand, and I love working with it. It's a great evolution from where we were. So I don't know. I don't really feel like I have.
We had Kara talk at an AAF event about the rebrand.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the when hybrid wasn't a thing, we were
Yeah.
all just still at home.
Oh, yeah.
She was nice enough to talk about the Smuckers
Yes.
rebrand,
Yes.
which was,
Yeah. She was
controversial.
It was controversial, and it ruffled
Everybody
a lot
worried they
of
wouldn't find jelly on the
feathers.
shelves anymore
Yes.
because
Yeah.
the logo changed.
Don't worry, there is still jelly, and it still has the original Smuckers logo. We just changed the overall company's logo because we're more than jelly. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel like, I mean, I guess in some of my freelance work, I do a lot of freelance illustration and art licensing, so I see a lot of trends in that, but that's constantly evolving. Like I'm really into hand lettering right now, and that's my big focus. Like that's a big trend for me,
Mhm.
but it's constantly changing. I'm constantly trying new things.
I'd say for probably our company specifically, like we don't have the opportunity to use a lot of illustration, but photography is something that I'm passionate about. So being able to maybe not stage so much and be able to have real people having real fun, like doing real things, and then being able to implement that in a social strategy, that's we're taking into consideration what platforms are going to work for what types of content we need to put out there. So that's like something where TikTok is a big thing. So we're working through like TikTok strategies and how to make what I know is already cool look cool to everybody else.
So for me, I think the biggest trend that I've noticed between my internship and then just my job where I am now is being able to be versatile. Like a graphic designer is not just a graphic designer, like you have to be able to do a little bit more, whether that be photography and knowing how to line up a shot or videography. For me, the emerging technology really comes in handy just because of all the different technologies I'm aware of. So I'm able to use that. Droning is something that's huge at our company. So they're going to like train me to do that. So that involves typography and making commercials and videos and stuff like that. So I'd say versatility, being able to do a little bit more than just laying something out on a page.
I think that's a really good point, because when I first went into the agency, I figured I'm just going to be, at the grind all day long, creating logos, letterheads, business cards, and that was going to be it. And really what my job is now is leading photo shoots, leading video shoots, doing animation, social media creative. I mean, I am covering multiple different areas for the company and have not had to design a logo in like 6 years, which is great
I really feel
for
like
me.
the stress to like logo design is like
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah.
part. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
You guys
it's
know
not. Unless you're going into a boutique agency,
Yeah, I was like, you're not
you're,
really gonna
you're not
design
doing a whole lot of
logos,
logos.
to be
So the foundation classes are great, the logo classes were great, but I don't have a portfolio of 50 logos.
Nope, I'm designed like 4 in my whole
Yeah.
life.
Versatility is huge. I'm definitely glad you said that because there's definitely not a day I'm doing just one thing at the computer.
Mhm.
I'm on construction sites taking photos. I'm not as glamorous as with the NFL people, but I'm doing video work. I'm just everywhere all the time. So it does make it nice to get off of the computer every once in a while. I think like sometimes like you don't want to be stuck at your cubicle or your office like all the time. So versatility is huge. But I think that makes your day exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And your job is interesting. Like you
Yeah.
want to do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always something different.
Mhm.
Agreed. That's what I love. But, all right, does anybody have questions for our lovely ladies?
Okay, so how do you deal with people who don't understand what you do within like, they don't understand design or like the importance of design certain things? How do you deal with that and handle it?
Patiently.
You know how they all said customer service earlier?
There are some times where you'll have somebody over you that'll say, hey, do it this way. And you're like, that is not going to work. But like they're over you, have to do it anyways. A nice workaround I found, give them what they want
Mhm.
and then also give it to how they actually should have it. Sometimes seeing it side by side, they'll go like, oh, that didn't make any sense. We'll go with your idea. Then other times they're going to be like, no, I still want it that way. So honestly, just patience.
I think learning how to talk through why you did what you did and explain it to them often helps a lot. But I think one thing I had to learn was to let go of my ego a little bit and just
Yeah.
realize that sometimes you've just got to give a little bit and you know that you're not doing exactly what you would want to do, but at the end of the day, your client's happy. And
Yep.
if the work is good enough to get there, then it's good enough to get there.
I think like consistency of the work that you do produce, if you continuously put the best you can into every project that you give, maybe the people that don't quite believe in you, it will be consistently good over time. Then they would realize that, you know, what you do matters and the strategies that you put in place matter. It's not just, you know, making something look good or making something look pretty for the sense of just getting more likes or more people to look at it. But just always consistently putting that hard work in, people will take notice of that.
There's also the magic of brand guidelines, and you can just be like, it's
Yep.
in the brand guidelines,
Yep.
it has to be done this
That
way.
is a
And I'm
savior of
sorry,
my
we're
life.
not gonna break that.
And oftentimes, if you're lucky enough to be the person to make the brand guidelines,
That's true.
sneak
Yeah.
in anything you really want
Yep, yep. I tell a lot of people, sorry, I can't do that. It's not in the brand guidelines, but here's what you can have.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't work, then I just escalate them to my boss and he takes care of it.
Yeah, definitely trusting your own instincts and having the patience and letting go of your ego is, I think, huge. I mean, it's what they want. So we definitely get a lot of make it pretty usually requests. So which always makes me laugh. And then I make it pretty. And I think sometimes those are my best like projects because then they're like, this is the best I've ever seen. And then I think like when you have people who are like in the marketing industry who like know a little bit more, like then it's like just a very collaborative effort. I rely on my other designer like to talk me through it. How would you do it? How can we do it? Like how can we make it something we're proud of, something that they're gonna like, and make it so that everybody's happy.
Mhm.
Even at the end of the day, you might not be totally thrilled by what you're putting out there. If they're happy, then you can be happy at the end of the day.
You're going to build up trust too, especially if you're working with repeat clients. They're going to learn to trust you. The more that you're backing up your work and giving them things that are working when they are putting them to use, it'll all work out.
Brianna had touched on this a little bit when she asked about what are you most proud of. So I'm going to ask you to be a little bit more self-indulgent.
Yes. Make them do it.
What makes you personally a badass designer? And if you don't want to answer that, what aspect of badassery would you like to co-op and get a real decent control of in your career?
So Valora, who was my professor here, is the one who gave my name out for this. And I read the email and I was like, I am not a badass designer, but sure, I guess I'll do this. But to that, so mine is absolutely nothing to do with my career. Mine's my freelance work, and I have greeting cards in Target, and I think that makes me pretty badass.
Nice.
Yeah. Especially because my illustration professors told me that I was terrible at illustration and I would never. Sorry, Kent
I mean,
State.
that's like a really good, like, stick it to them kind of moment,
yeah.
though.
When I look back through my illustration portfolio, and it's truly like you're told like you have to draw and shade this apple. Well, the greeting cards I'm making aren't shaded apples; they're hand lettering. I know. You know, but
I still life
yes.
of this very building.
Oh no. The ink washing. I think I still have those.
I probably still have at least one illustration of
Yeah,
this building.
they're still lurking in my basement. But yeah, my illustration professors were like, you are never going to make it an illustration. Like you need to go into 2D, 3D typography. So my illustrations are in Target, and I think that proved them wrong.
I'd say so.
I feel like for me,
Cards in Target. Cards in Target.
I can get you the hookup for the art licensing if you want it.
I feel like for me is when I stopped having to use LinkedIn to get jobs. People started asking me to interview or asking me to work for them or do things for them. And like, that was the very like, damn, like, I don't have to put myself out there as much. I don't have to apply for a position that 10,000 other people are applying to. They know me well enough and are familiar with my work well enough to say, I want you to come here or something like that. I think that was recently something that I experienced that was really, really cool and really humbling for me to have happen.
I think for me, it's never like a specific, like I don't have a, this is the moment I felt like a badass, but I think the time that I was able to like be proud of that I got here. I didn't think I was going to, but I did. So
That's a really good question. Goodness, I have to say for me, it's probably my creative side. Like I used to say that I'm extra because I really like going like way too far. I finally got to the point where now I say I'm not extra, everybody else is just basic. So taking an idea and like having like the smaller version of it is just not feasible for me. Like I have to go all the way over here, and after I give you this, like I can have you reel me in. But getting to the point of being able to just put all of that out of there and then have people kind of just whittle away at what they want, I'd say is sometimes difficult, but I'm proud that I'm getting to the point where I'm just like, this is me, I like it. Let me know what you like.
Yes, sir.
Where do you go or what do you do when you're looking for inspiration?
Students, honestly, in our programs, they, absorb everything about what's going on. They know the trends. Like anytime when I was a TA or like, other classes that I guest lectured in or like whatever, like they are sponges that absorb everything around them, what's going on in social media, what's going on anywhere. So I think just connecting with the people who are learning, I think was the biggest thing. And I know I want to keep that consistent, throughout my life. I want to either adjunct or teach on some capacity to kind of keep up with that, with the trends.
For my corporate work, it's looking what our competitors are doing and seeing how we can take it up a notch, how we can stand out against them. Most of my bigger corporate work is like our annual report and stuff like that. So it's seeing how we can continue to revamp that year after year, because it gets kind of boring when you're just doing financials. In my freelance work, I'm a millennial. I go to Pinterest, honestly. I get a lot of stuff off of Pinterest. I don't know if anybody actually uses that anymore. But
It's
then
valid,
social
yeah.
media. I have a whole big network of other illustrators and designers and that all do, the same freelance companies that I work with. And it's not competitive with them. It's very collaborative. And so it's just getting inspiration off of other people and not to confuse the inspiration with copying somebody else's style. That's not what we're out to do, but it's just being inspired by what other designers are out there doing.
I think, taking inspiration from others in the industry, the other graphic designer I work with, I think when I had initially started, I was in awe of like how she did her work, and I had never done a lot in the sports industry, so being able to look at her, who has a ton of experience in the sports industry, and how she's designing things, because when it's sports, it has to be action packed, like it has to be like heavy in movement, like you're wanting it to be something that you're going to want to stare at for a long time. So being able to collaborate with her has been amazing, and learning from her and taking inspiration from other designers who are in the field. And then I'm endless amounts of different sports teams. I can look at their social media. So if I see something I think is cool, I'm going to try to teach myself how to do it, or I'm going to ask her if she knows how to do it. So I think just keeping myself in collaborative environments and surrounding myself by other creative people.
I see inspiration pretty much anywhere. Sometimes for me, it'll start from looking at something I don't like. Like, how could I make it into something that looks better, or thinking of a way to like revamp it. I really like the 90s. Like, I was a 90s baby. So anything with like a lot of color or like patterns or anything like that. So if I see something like kind of basic, I want to make it extra. So any way that I can add into it is pretty fun. Also movies, Instagram. I am Pinterest too. So pretty much everywhere.
I think continuing to learn is really inspirational too. Like I'll just jump on Skillshare and watch a class, and it doesn't even have to be anything that is pertaining to anything that I'm trying to do, but just learning something new might spark something else and just add another tool to make it.
I think you saying like looking at things that you don't like is, yeah, absolutely. We had taken a trip down to Nashville, and it was me and my two friends who are graphic designers, and it was like, ew, did you see that logo? Ew, did you see that advertisement? And it was probably so annoying for everyone else in the car, but I think it's hilarious because they're like, oh my God, what is that?
It's
Who
like you can't not
agreed to
notice
this?
it, though. Like
Yeah,
when you see something
now-
that's like,
yeah.
what were they doing? Like,
I'm very hyper fixated on bad design.
They use papyrus on a font, yeah, on a sign. No. Yeah.
No, Kelly, I just stopped watching sports with my boss because we design graphics packages and things of that nature. So he'll be watching a football game and be like, God, that font's ugly. And I'm like, what? Why are you looking at that?
Yeah.
I'll be like, did you notice like the font of uniform? And I'm like,
Oh, I'm big on the uniforms, like
Yeah,
they're
design,
bad.
like
no.
the
I
city
stopped watching
uniforms.
sports with them. I was like, I
Yeah,
can't.
NBA city uniforms it's my favorite drop of like the year. The Warriors, I do hate the Warriors. I'm a Cavs fan, like to my core, but the Warriors are the ugliest uniforms I've ever seen. And it's sad, and now I'm going to sound like a hater because they're like meant to be for women empowerment, but I don't know if they had a woman on that team. It was not good.
Yikes.
Look at it when you guys get a chance.
I know several guys who work for the Warriors, and I will let them know. I'm kidding. I really do know guys who work for the Warriors, but I won't tell them.
Well, ask them to hit me up. Like, I would love to
I
collab.
met them at a conference last year. It was a real riot. Yes, I'm sorry.
Being spring semester, we have a lot of students that are, graduating, going on to workforce. I don't know if any of you are in like hiring positions, but if you were looking at student portfolios, is there like one piece of advice that you could give to students on like maybe what is the core of their portfolio or what you would be looking at for a potential hire?
I think when you have a portfolio, it's important to know why whatever you put is in there. Like, have a story for it. Like, I chose this design for this reason. This is what inspired me. A lot of people also like sketchbooks. So if you could show them how you got to the design, especially if they're not a designer, like being able to give them something where they can see the steps, that really helps a lot. Also for me, in the positions that I've been in, they really focused on the fact that I was in a leadership position. So that meant that I'm used to taking feedback from people and also being in charge of people as well. So those are, I think, the two main things I would say.
I'll say the biggest for me, like when I look for interns, is just versatility. Because especially like in public media and dealing with, totally different types of stories reporters and journalism write, you have to have a large toolbox of things, animation, illustration, a good sense of typography in everything you do. So I think to have that wide range is important, but also to not like use a cookie cutter portfolio for every single job. Like how people advise you not to use the same cover letter or something for each job you apply for. You should also do the same with your portfolio. Put, like if you were applying for a job at Ideastream Media, we deal with a lot of textual based stuff. So maybe put that at the top of your portfolio, or like whatever you're applying for, make that the first thing the employer sees. Because really they're only going to look at it for like 10 seconds or less. So I think, editing the order of things in your portfolio and adding things maybe you're lacking is an important thing to put in there too.
Yeah, I think it's knowing your audience and tailoring your portfolio to that. If you're going after an agency position, you're going to be completely different work than if you're going after a corporate position. I would say that in hiring too, it's not just about your portfolio. They're looking at your personality. They want to make sure you're a fit for their culture. Culture has become a huge thing in the workforce over the last 10 years. It's, I would say 50-50. They want to know that you can do the job and you can do it well, but they also want to make sure that your personality is going to mesh with them, because you're pre-pandemic, you were spending a lot of time with these people. Post-pandemic, you might be working from home more, but you're still collaborating with these people all the time. And that's a very big part of your career. You could be a badass designer, but if you're an asshole, you're not going to get too far at all, because people don't want to work with you.
So you mentioned working from home. Do all of you, is your jobs all currently in office, or do any of you work from home?
I am home 4 days a week. So I go into the office 1 day a week. I was doing hybrid before the pandemic. I was flexible just because I have a long commute and they didn't care that I was working from home. During the pandemic, we were home 100% of the time, and now our career commitment is 25% of our careers in office, and your team and department decides what that looks like for you.
I would say pre-pandemic, before WKSU merged with Ideastream, we had offices on campus, so I was there almost every day. Between classes, I usually worked only like 20 or 30 hours, and I still do while I'm still in school. But now, since we merged and the offices are up in Cleveland, I'm just fully remote, and I feel like most of the people I work with are also remote and either hybrid at least, but not too many that are fully there anymore, which, has its pluses and benefits, I guess.
I would say starting out in your career, taking at least a hybrid approach. I think we saw, especially our intern class, we have a really big intern class, and they struggled being full remote during the pandemic. You're missing that collaboration, you're missing that learning. As you start looking for career positions, if flexibility is key to you, that's great, but you're going to learn by being right next to somebody in those first foundational years so much more than if you're at home working in a silo.
I'm on a hybrid schedule. It's like every other Monday and Friday we're remote, so it's nice. I think like I love a remote Monday. Not so much Friday. I think I'm just like Friday's like your good vibes kind of thing. It's like hard to like not be around people on a Friday. But I love the hybrid. We did a month or so where we were fully remote when I had first started, and I missed the social aspect of working and being able to collaborate. And like I said, I work with a majority of my team is 25, 27. So I think like it's easy to just, those are my friends. They're my coworkers, they're my friends. So being able to be in that space with them is like something I need. I don't love being fully remote. Hybrid, fantastic. I could not hype up hybrid more.
I'm hybrid. When I had my internship, that was hybrid as well. I was supposed to actually be there a little bit longer than I was. It was a bit of a drive. And once I was there for, I think, like a month, they were really impressed with what I was doing. So it went from, you have to be here this many days to, how many days do you want to be here? So just showing them what I was capable of helped push that more towards working from home. A job that I have now, hybrid, love it. Could not be fully remote. I love being in pajamas, but I will not get any work done if you let me stay home like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So I'm in office and then I'm not. I'm also part of a marketing team. So like for collaboration, like
Yeah.
you need to be able to just bounce ideas off of somebody like right there. It's hard to do that through a computer.
I was like, I was one of those creatives that worked from home and was like, I hate this so much. I started working in the office as soon as they let me. Go ahead.
How do you go about getting freelance work, those of you who do freelance?
So a lot of it is connections that I've had over the years. So previous companies I've worked for, art directors, creative directors that I've worked under that need some work. I'll have random friends who's like, I need a brochure. And I'm like, hey, I'm your token designer. Sure, here we go. A lot of my freelance work right now is all stationery based and in the greeting card space. So that's me seeking out opportunities there. Contacting companies, contacting agencies, seeing if they have freelance positions. LinkedIn will post things. There's a couple sites out there that I've never tried. I think Fiverr is one of them and Upwork is one of the other ones. And you can like create a portfolio, create your own profile, put work out there. When I've looked at them, it's like, we need a children's book and our budget is $30. So I don't know if those ones are actually good or not.
Yeah.
I can't vouch for those, but I know that there are sites out there. I also know that if you decide you want to go the freelance route and you can afford to work to build up your clientele, like there's agencies that will find the work for you that you can get involved with, but they're also going to take a cut of your money. So be cautious.
I mean, personally, still being in school and having a job and doing thesis work, I haven't had as much time to do freelance as I, used to in undergrad. But for me, it was just all recommendation based. People that I knew, we need a brochure done or this social media campaign done. So for me, it was mostly just people that I knew, the networks that I built, and just conversations I would, ask about people's work, and they'd be like, actually, I need this done. Oh, interestingly enough, I could do that for you. So like just, having conversations with people about their work opened up opportunities for me.
I think if you could find an area too where you, even if you start local, like let's say you just take local restaurants and their social media is lacking, and you can put together kind of a sales deck and go to them and say, here's how I can help you. Here's what I cost. Here's what I can do on your social media, and you're pitching yourself to them. Mm. You're kind of acting as your own agency. You're the sales department and you're the design department.
I'll say is also you're interested, Cecilia and I through AAF, we get messages regularly about people like, hey, I need somebody to do this, somebody. And usually it's, Cecilia and I always just look to AAF members first. We're always like, oh, who do we know? Who's that kind of thing? And so Cecilia and we always try to pitch people that are members before anybody else, because it's part of, our loyalty to, as part of what we do, we always try to pitch people. Because if we get asked oh, do you know anybody that does websites, or do you know anybody that does illustration, or do you know anybody that does this? And it's always like, oh yeah, hold on, let me look through who we know. And Cecilia and I always try to pitch people that we, especially because a lot of the people that are coming to us can't afford an agency. They're coming in with a microscopic budget, and so they are looking for a one-off, a one-man shop, which is obviously a lot cheaper than being able to go to a big agency. But I was network, because it is always it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yep. And you hate to say it, but it's always very, very true. Best designer in the world, but if you don't know anybody, no one's ever going to see your work. On our chat, Matt wants to know, do you have a dream project, anything you would love to be a part of throughout your career?
I want to make it on a gift bag in Target. It's just Target. It's just Target for me, guys.
I love it.
Target is the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I want to be in the Christmas section on a big ass gift bag.
Hell yeah.
That my mom is going to go buy.
I hope way more people than your mom buy it. Callie's mom will buy it. She's
yes,
the networking queen.
She will.
I guess since, I'm trying to become a type designer after I graduate, just to see other designers use my work and have their interpretation of the font system that I would make be put in something else. So like, you know, I have a vision for, oh, I would assume, or I make this font or typeface for a certain purpose, but then to see someone use it in a really cool, unique way, I think that would be a really cool experience that I hope to experience in the future.
Like your dream project is technically somebody else's project.
Someone else,
but, like,
someone else's project through what I
you can
made.
help make dreams come true.
Exactly.
I have a connection for you. Remind me to give you a name.
See,
Awesome.
Look, love it.
Networking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think every day I'm kind of like realizing that I'm like working on dream projects. So it's hard for me to like narrow down just one because I'm doing so many different things with so many different clients and people. And so I think every day it's like starting as an intern where it was like, oh my God, I got a graphic on our website. And then I'm like making my whole family like go look at it. And my grandma's like taking pictures of it. And then it's like, now it's like getting like things on like bigger buildings or like seeing it on our scoreboard screens or like seeing something that people are seeing every day and taking the photos that people are like seeing every day. So it's like every day I'm working on something that I didn't think I would be doing. So I think I keep myself pretty humble and like that every day I'm doing something that is a dream to me.
I run our social media
Found a
for our
good job
company, and I feel like I intimately know everyone's aunts and grandmothers because I'm like, oh, Marty, I think your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom.
I like this.
Oh, I make them share everything.
Yeah, I'm like,
my mom is networking. She is getting us out there. So she's sharing it all.
I know everyone's relatives because they like the post. And I'm like, thanks guys, I guess, but like, it's not really my market.
Right.
Cool.
I have to agree with you. I think every day I kind of am doing a dream project. I got to do some videography earlier on Monday, and that was not something that I thought I was going to do. So went down to Youngstown, took B-roll footage. I've interviewed people. I'm helping put together a commercial, which was not something that I thought was going to be anywhere near what I was going to do. I'm part of the onboarding at my job, so I'm taking photography and taking pictures of people, editing that, getting that on the website. So I'm doing a lot of stuff in the back end, which surprisingly I love, because when I had that class, it was something else. But doing it in real life is actually like really fun. So every day it's different, it's versatile, and love it.
I mean, I assume as a designer, you aren't like, man, I'm gonna get my drone license.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna
I'm
be-
definitely. I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell anybody that I'm a drone pilot. I'm just going to say pilot.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm pilot.
absolutely.
Back in the day, before they had like actual drone licenses that you could get, like I worked for a video production agency and they wanted one of our guys to be able to fly a drone legally. And the only way you could do it is you had to get a hot air balloon license. So one of our guys was this close to being a licensed hot air balloon pilot. And then they came out with the actual like certification for drone license instead. But I still wish the job
I would have
was a
went through with
certified
it.
drone
For
pilot.
I sure
I would have
would.
went through
Yeah.
with it.
Certified
I'll
hot air
take
balloon
both,
pilot.
geez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drones are cool,
What
but a hot
the
air
heck?
balloon.
Yeah.
Now that's how you get video content. Agency life is weird, man. Let me see here. You guys kind of, how do you, what's your best way to handle tough critique?
See if it's valid. Sometimes somebody will say something and it's really tough and it's like, but you're wrong. So if they're wrong, I'm not upset, I'm not offended because you don't know what you're actually talking about. However, if it's a tough critique, you got to look at it and say, okay, maybe they have a point. And if they do, like, work with them on it, see what you need to change, and just be honest with yourself.
I think like maybe asking why they don't like certain things, or like sometimes like I've had clients or like people I've worked with who, you know, say they don't like some aspect of the design, but you know, there's usually a reason or like a specific thing that they're concerned about or a thing that they don't particularly like. So just, you know, kind of keeping that level head and, you know, even though you have poured hours into a layout or a project, like, you know, just calmly asking like, oh, what aspects of it, you know, are you not agreeing with? Like, you know, how can we reconstruct our, you know, timeline to, you know, keep on track and just kind of keeping that professionalism as best as possible, even though it might be hurtful in some ways, but you kind of have to like keep that at a low and just figure out what you need to do next.
You go scream in the other room.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
walk in and
Mhm.
And then come
calmly
back.
ask them
Yes. Yeah.
why
I
they're
think at the end of the day, even though it feels personal because it's your work, it's not a personal attack on you. And somebody else is always going to see something different out of your work. And sometimes that's great because they might point out something that looks like absolute shit and you didn't realize that it looked like absolute shit. So, there are times where you can fight back and you'll learn when those times are to fight back. And then there's other times, like I said earlier, you just got to let go of the ego and get the work out. There's always going to be more projects. There's always going to be more work, but there's also always going to be tough clients, tough bosses, tough critiques.
Yeah, I could not echo what everyone's saying more. I mean, I think like it's like having trust in yourself, having trust in like who you're working with. Like if you are doing good work, like hopefully they're trusting in that and you guys are going to know how to communicate with each other so that you're not like, why would you say that to me like that kind of thing? You're not becoming offended or your ego's not being bruised over it. Like just like having the communication and again, realizing at the end of the day, it's like, it's not personal. Like they're not saying it's ugly because it's ugly. Like they're trying to get after what their vision and you want to bring your vision in. So just trusting you'll get there eventually.
Also, if you're working for someone who's always giving you crap critiques and always telling you your work is bad, you're probably in the wrong space and you should find another job.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that out
Yeah.
there. Sometimes it really is them and it's really not you.
Yeah.
So that's when you just find another job.
We got to break up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are sometimes just not. You will not fix the situation.
No.
Well, do you guys have any parting thoughts? Anybody else have one last question? Oh, please.
It's very important. So if you could redesign Mount Rushmore,
Oh,
what
jeez.
would you choose?
Yes.
Oh.
What a good way to end. No, we're ending on this.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Be stunning.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to think that one through.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what. We will ask them. AAF will get all their answers, and we will post it. And maybe I'll make them make mock-ups of them.
There we go.
We'll see how mean I'm feeling later. Put those skills to use. And yeah, we'll post all their female Mount Rushmores after. Maybe later next week. Maybe it's already
Awesome.
Thursday. I was like, maybe next week. We'll post their all female Mount Rushmores. We'll give them a minute to think about it. But yeah, you guys have any parting words of advice? Key wisdom that these people cannot live without.
I think the biggest thing for me, at least in my career, is it's okay to bounce around from jobs. It's okay to find other paths to get where you want to be. When you finally land in the position that you know is good, you'll know and you'll stay there. I think when I was in design school, it was get into an agency, that's it. You've got to be in an agency. That is the world. And it's not true, especially not anymore. Agencies are not as abundant, at least in the area as they used to be. So I think it's find where your passions are and find where you're going to be happy, but also remember that it's just work and there's things outside of work too.
I would say just have confidence in yourself. Always like believe in the work that you put out there, no matter what the critiques that you get back. But always having kind of that self-resiliency towards anything that you make, and kind of never letting anyone kind of take that chip off your shoulder. Keep your head up and just keep moving forward. Keep learning. That's it. Yeah.
I think mine's imposter syndrome so real. I mean, I definitely think I on my way here was like, why would they ask me to do this? I said it at work today. I'm like, I don't belong giving anybody advice. Like, but I think like you all heard me say like, this isn't what I thought I was gonna do. And regardless, every day I'm still kind of like have a moment where I'm like, is this what I need to be? Is this what I should be doing? Do I belong here? And it's like having a support system, including your mom, including your coworkers who are going to put you at a place that's going to build you up and remind you that you're where you should be and you're not an imposter. You can do it. So
I'd say don't be who you think you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Be who you are. Like, you are valid as you are, and if you try and mold yourself into something that you think people want, they don't want that anyways. So, like, for me in school, I had 50 different ideas after I decided I was not going to be a graphic designer, one of which was an art therapist. So I have a minor in psychology because I thought maybe I'd do that. Then I have a minor in emerging technology because I was like, that's interesting too. And then graphic design major. And now I'm a graphic designer. So because I did all of those things, though, it helped me see this is what I like to do. This is what I don't like to do. These are the people I like to work with. These are the people I don't want to work with. What kind of team I want to be on, because that's important if you're looking at agency. Like, can you thrive in a bigger agency, or do you need more one-on-one with people? Like, do you need something smaller? So because I went after anything that interests me while still staying on the same track, I didn't know exactly where I was going, but I had an idea of the direction. So trust yourself.
All right. Well, most importantly, where'd that list go that had everybody's, who dropped the ball?
I was supposed to have it. I have
Right, I was gonna say, I looked at you, you don't have it.
It's gone. Oh.
Oh, she collects your own.
That was gonna be how I was gonna give away tickets, Cecilia. We have surveys. So AAF, you've heard people mention Addies today. The American Advertising Awards just happened in February, but they are AAF's big award event of the year. They happen once a year. They will be next year, March 1st, 2024, which is, I don't like saying that. But we are giving out 4 tickets tonight. Student tickets are like $40. Other than that, they're like $90, $100 to go. But giving out tickets to that. We also, like I said, we have stuff all throughout the year that we'd love to have you attend. Hopefully, like I said, there'll be more stuff happening with Kent, near Kent, around Kent. So we'd love to have you guys kind of like be on our email list and stuff like that, even as you start to graduate, so that if you need contacts, stuff like that. Cecilia, who is our executive director, who is sitting in the back, she is a great person. She knows everybody. So we love connecting people. It's part of what we do, is making sure that not only do you have a good skill set, but you meet the right people, and we can help point you towards internships, jobs, new friends. I don't know, whatever you need. I don't care. So I became president of this organization so that I could hold events and make people hang out with me. That's the only reason I do this. So I'm like, Dave, let's get beers. Dave goes, no. And I go, it's a meeting. And he goes, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, Dave, it's a board meeting. You have to come. Do you guys have any other AAF questions or anything like that as they pass out these lovely surveys that I assume you will give these ladies stellar reviews? So we generally have like one event a month. So this month it is this. Next month on April 25th, we are actually, so we partnered with a nonprofit called Limitless Ambition, which works to give young women in the area a leg up where they need it from underprivileged communities. And they have a new event happening in the fall called Fields of Purple. And on the 25th, we are going to learn all about their event. And we're going to help them kind of brainstorm creative and marketing and help them with a whole new campaign for this new event that they are putting on in the fall. So I think that'll be super fun. It's going to be at 83 Brewing, which is in Akron. Food, drinks, and basically just a whole night of brainstorming with other creatives on just a fun way to help this nonprofit brand this new event, which I think is going to be super fun. May, we are doing a creative campfire with Dave Flynn leading it. Creative campfires are a super fun way to just kind of get out of your comfort zone and explore maybe a different side of your creativity that you don't use every day, like making people write weird little poems or drawing little things or whatever that looks like. Dave cackles because, no, I love it. I just like that last time I sat next to Rye and she drew me a picture of rye bread and brie cheese. And it's one of my favorite things. Because my name's Brianna, which is Brie, and her name is Rye. So we became partners, Rye and Brie. Delicious sandwich, I assume. But no, Dave takes you down like this fun creative journey. That's happening at the Nightlight, which is an independent movie theater in downtown Akron. Again, this is super fun. Dave leads an awesome creative session, and you leave with fun goodies and takeaways and stuff, which is always fun. June, July, and August, we don't do a lot of like heavy programming in the summer because, you know, people are on vacation, people are doing stuff. So we, last year did kind of like a brewery like tour where we went to, it's a lot of drinking, guys. It's a lot of, if there's one thing you learn in life, creative people don't show up to anything unless you promise them there will be a place they can buy beer. So we did kind of a tour last year where we went to a brewery in Youngstown 1 month, Canton the next month, Medina, and Akron. So it's just kind of like a way for us to touch all of our like major cities in our footprint, hang out with people we don't see all the time. September is a speaker. I'm staring at Dave, hoping he'll see like a mind meld.
Isn't that the annual meeting?
October is the annual meeting.
I'll get back to you.
Right, September's really far away, guys. I wouldn't worry about it. But we try to post everything on our website, AAF-Akron.com. So you can always do that, like I said, or just reach out to Cecilia or myself. You can basically just email president@aafakron.com, I think. That goes to me. Or I can give you my work email, which is definitely goes to me, unfortunately. But yeah, I said, Cecilia and I are both very available. We're happy to, I mean, we're at everything. So if you're ever like, oh, I'm gonna go by myself, like I'm at everything, Cecilia's at everything, you know, you'll always see at least one face, you know, so you're always welcome at all activities and stuff like that. And if you ever want to get involved and, you know, you want to do kind of more of like a committee position or like, you know, become a leader in that way, you know, get that experience and stuff like that. There's plenty of opportunity for taking on more of a leadership role in ways that kind of branch out of like just being a designer. So we do skew really heavy designer. I don't know why, but.
Do you do anything with AIGA Cleveland at all?
We don't. It's so funny. I always laugh because like, yeah, I feel like AIGA has like
Or is it like a?
such like a stronghold of no, I mean, we have so many organizations in the area that people are like multiple, like PRSA, we have people that are members of both. We actually partner with PRSA. And NSME, which is like National Sales Marketing Executives. So there's a lot of clubs in the area. Like we don't personally, like, it's not on purpose.
Right.
Like, it's not like, yeah, it's like, it's not like, yeah, GA. But yeah, there's so many clubs in the area. We all serve the common purpose of like connecting people and stuff like that. Like I love, like what I love about AAF is like AIGA is just designers, whereas like AAF is like everybody that remotely touches like advertising. So it's like print reps and marketing, like background design of a marketer, or it's like videographers, photographers. It's like kind of a much broader, it's an industry-based group instead of like a very like career specific. But yeah, I mean, we all serve super similar purposes, and so like, yeah, whatever networking looks like to you and whatever you want, like I'm a biased, but like networking is networking, whatever that means to you, to get out and, you know, meet people and hopefully lead to a career, like that's, you'll have like my books. But my picture's really big in there, so it's really the most important part.
Why? I mean, it's kind of sick.
See, Garrett, our executive, our vice president was also MC. That's who Garrett looks like.
That's why it works.
The company I work for won Best in Show, so I'm also incredibly biased that I think we do amazing work. We won Best in Show. But yeah, like I said, please feel free. Like I said, you can find me on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Like I said, I run social media for our company, so I'm just on social media all day, every day, for better, for worse. But happy to connect with anybody and be a resource in any way we possibly can. Oh, Cecilia's giving away more goodies. So I bring Cecilia the stuff. She brings all the goodies.
I have swag.
Right, get that swag. Everybody gets the handle color they want. It's really important. I love it. Like, you don't want second ones?
No, I liked it the first time.
Yeah. There's a point over like quarantine where like not like the bag from the 2020 Addies.
But the campfire one?
It was like a black, but like Cecilia over quarantine, whenever she had to drop something off my house, she would put it in an AAF bag and like leave it on my front door. So I had like 20 of them. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't keep all these. I was like, I don't need any more. Okay, it's a great bag.
Fun fact, I do love it.
Yeah.
No, grocery shopping.
My parents.
You end up with
are
the tote full of
their
totes.
house.
That's how you know
Oh
that.
my God.
That's
They're
how you know
always in
you're
the
an
trunk.
adult. You have a tote full of
Dude.
totes.
That in my quarters for all
Yes.
these.
Oh my God, yeah.
Quarters.
And I still, so they have the little keychain that you can put the quarter in.
Yeah.
I've never found one in the wild.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kobe
yeah.
sells like a keychain that holds your quarter, right? But they're always sold out because it's TikTok and Instagram. I've never found one in the
Like
wild.
too nervous about them.
I also just told everybody about now, so you have to go in the
yeah,
section
I
right
will.
up and
Yeah,
This
I
is why I
said.
don't know what I want to buy. So I just have to go.
That's
crazy,
crazy.
though.
Well, the thing is, the next one can go because I know that it'll be too much. I would can't
See,
be
after the
looking at it.
graduation, people that I know, I could just ignore. It's fine.
Yeah. You killed it. So
I'm glad everybody else, they were like, you didn't look nervous at all. And I'm like,
No,
really?
no.
It was different on the inside.